The galaxy was calm on the day everything began to change. Inside the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, thousands of alien diplomats floated, crawled, slithered, or walked to their seats. The hall was a massive sphere of silver metal, glowing with quiet blue light. For centuries, this place was the center of power for every advanced empire in the Milky Way. Yet today the council room buzzed with nervousness. A small blue hologram spun in the middle of the chamber, showing a planet no alien expected to ever discuss again: Earth. The council usually ignored it. Humans were seen as weak, slow to grow, and barely developing interstellar travel. Many species used Earth as a joke during political debates. But today something strange had happened. Reports showed that an ancient fleet older than any known civilization had awakened near the Sol system. Their energy signature matched only one thing in the galaxy: the Wraithborn, a species that wiped out thousands of worlds during the First Dark Age. And they were heading straight for Earth. The council murmured with confusion. "Why Earth?" asked a scaled reptilian senator from the Drakvar Dominion. "Humans have nothing. They have no advanced armies. No superweapons. They are barely considered a spacefaring people." A tall, crystal-bodied alien from the Luminary Alliance flickered a soft purple glow. "Perhaps it is a mistake. The Wraithborn rarely hunt weak prey. They destroy only civilizations that threaten the balance of power." The chamber became silent. No one believed humans were a threat. "No ancient records list humanity as powerful," said a robotic delegate from the Syntax Collective. "There is no reason for the Wraithborn to fear them." Then an old alien, small and fragile, rose from the shadows. His skin was gray like stone, and his 4 eyes trembled with age. He was Elder Vurok, the last historian of a long-dead civilization called the Kothari. His species once ruled large parts of the galaxy before the Wraithborn erased them millennia ago. Vurok's voice cracked as he spoke. "You all forget the ancient warnings. Humans were feared once." A ripple of disbelief passed through the room. Vurok projected an image of broken star systems, burned planets, and shattered fleets. "These records are from the First Era. Before my people fell. Before the galaxy united under the Council. The ancient texts speak of beings who turned the tide of entire wars. Beings with minds that adapted faster than any species. Hearts that refused to submit. Warriors who, when cornered, became something terrifying." He pointed at the hologram of Earth. "Those beings were humans." Laughter erupted. Alien leaders mocked the idea instantly. Humans? Those fragile things who panic when their own weather changes. They needed help to fix their moon base last cycle. They can barely manage their tiny alliance of 3 planets. Vurok slammed his staff against the floor, the sound echoing like thunder. "You misunderstand their strength. Humans are not born powerful. They become powerful when forced to survive. Their history is filled with wars, disasters, and chaos. And each time they grew stronger, faster, smarter. They have a talent no other species possesses: adaptation under pressure." The chamber quieted. "Imagine," Vurok said softly, "what they will become if the Wraithborn attack them." A deep concern spread among the council. Still many refused to believe. Humans? Dangerous? Impossible. A council member from the elegant Zephyrian race waved her feathered arms dramatically. "Even if humans fight, they will lose in minutes. The Wraithborn consume stars. Earth will fall like any weak world." But then a live transmission interrupted the meeting. The hologram flickered to show a human battlecruiser, the HMS Horizon, locked in combat with a Wraithborn scout fleet near Jupiter. The aliens leaned closer. They expected to see the human ship destroyed. Instead they saw something else. Humans were winning. The Horizon twisted, maneuvering in ways no alien ship could. It fired its weapons in bursts that predicted enemy jumps before they happened. Human pilots shouted orders, their voices steady, strong, unafraid. In minutes, the Wraithborn ships were reduced to burning fragments. The Galactic Council stared in absolute shock. "Impossible," whispered a Luminary diplomat. "No species has ever defeated a Wraithborn scout so quickly." Elder Vurok nodded slowly. "Now you understand. Humans grow stronger when underestimated." The council leaders exchanged worried glances. If humans could defeat a scout, what would they do in a real war? As the last fragments of the Wraithborn ships burned near Jupiter, the transmission zoomed in on the human captain standing on the bridge of the Horizon. Captain Arya Vale. Her eyes were calm, determined, dangerous. She looked straight into the camera, knowing the whole galaxy was watching. "To any species listening, Earth will not fall. If the Wraithborn want a war, they will get one. And humanity will show the galaxy why our ancestors were feared. Her declaration echoed across the chamber. The council felt something they had not felt in centuries. Fear. Humanity had awakened. And the galaxy would never be the same. The holograms across the Galactic Council chamber continued to replay the footage of the HMS Horizon destroying the Wraithborn scouts. Aliens who once mocked humans now leaned forward, studying every movement of the human ship with deep concern. The Horizon's maneuvers were not random. They were precise, sharp, and frighteningly efficient. Pause frame, ordered a luminary scientist. The hologram froze. The humans' battle pattern formed a perfect geometric path around Jupiter's orbit, using gravitational pushes and microthrust bursts so perfectly timed that even advanced alien ships would struggle to match it. The scientist dimmed her glowing crystal body, a sign of anxiety. "No one taught them this," she whispered. "Humans are inventing new combat strategies in real time." A cold silence fell. This was not normal evolution. This was something else, something ancient. Elder Vurok closed his eyes. "This is what I warned you about. Humans do not rise slowly like other species. They leap forward." A booming voice came from the back of the chamber. "Humans can leap all they want. They are still a minor race." The voice belonged to General Karvak of the Drakvar Dominion, a massive reptilian warrior covered in thick silver armor. His species had fought thousands of wars across the galaxy and considered themselves unmatched in combat. Karvak slammed his tail against the metal floor. "No matter what tactics humans use, the Wraithborn will crush them. We should not waste council time. Earth will fall. The threat will end." But then a new hologram appeared. This one showed Earth's command center, a hidden underground facility known only to human militaries. Dozens of admirals, scientists, and strategists worked together in controlled chaos. Maps of the solar system glowed on every wall. Satellites tracked every Wraithborn movement. Standing at the center was Admiral Eli Grant, humanity's highest-ranking strategist. He was calm, confident, and silent as he studied the incoming threat. "Sir," an officer reported, "Wraithborn long-range fleets detected. Estimated arrival, 40 hours. Admiral Grant nodded. "Then we prepare for a fight the galaxy will never forget." The alien leaders watched with disbelief. They expected humans to panic, to flee, to collapse under fear. Instead they saw unity, precision, strength. A Zephyrian diplomat trembled. "Why are they not terrified? Do they not understand the power of the Wraithborn?" Elder Vurok answered softly. "Humans feel fear. But fear does not stop them. It focuses them." The hologram shifted again, this time showing the Earth Defense Fleet. Hundreds of ships launched from orbiting stations and hidden bases on the Moon and Mars. Their metal hulls glowed with blue thrusters. The formations were strange, unpredictable, almost chaotic. But inside that chaos was hidden genius. Alien commanders quickly recognized it. "They are using flexible formations," whispered a Syntax AI delegate. "Every ship can switch roles instantly. This is impressive." Humans had built their fleet like their societies, adaptable, creative, and capable of changing plans within seconds. Admiral Grant's voice echoed through the hologram. "Listen carefully," he said to his fleet. "The Wraithborn are ancient, but so are we. Not in age but in spirit. We fought our world's harshest conditions. We survived wars, disasters, extinction events. We learned to rebuild every time we fell." He paused. "Now we rise. Not just for Earth but for the entire galaxy." The council chamber's walls trembled with tension. For the first time in centuries, aliens felt something new from a younger race. Leadership. Back on Earth, preparations intensified. The greatest minds gathered, engineers, physicists, psychologists, cyber experts, to create something extraordinary. Humanity's strength was never in one person, but in the union of millions working as a single mind. In a hidden lab beneath Antarctica, Dr. Mira Solis stood before a massive device surrounded by energy coils. "This is our only chance," she whispered to her team. The machine hummed, a prototype human invention known as the adaptive pulse core. It was designed to evolve in real time, feeding on battlefield data and enhancing human weaponry instantly. No alien race had ever built something like it. It was too unstable, too risky. Humans were willing to try. The pulse core lit up with a blinding white flash. Commander Arya Vale, still aboard the HMS Horizon, received a coded message. "Captain," her communications officer said, "the pulse core is online. Earth requests your ship to integrate with it." Arya exhaled slowly. "Understood." The council watched the integration sequence. Human technology fused with strange energy patterns, raw, unstable but brilliant. A syntax AI whispered, "This should be impossible." But humans didn't care what should be possible. They cared about what must be done. As the horizon connected to the pulse core, a shockwave of energy rippled across the solar system. Even the council chamber lights flickered. General Karvok snarled. What did they do? Elder Vurok smiled sadly. They are unlocking what their ancestors feared to use. For the first time in millennia, the Wraithborn fleet slowed. Their ancient sensors detected a new threat, one they had not seen since the First Age. Humanity had awakened something powerful. Something forgotten. And the Wraithborn reacted with fear. The Wraithborn did not creep into the solar system. They arrived like a storm breaking open the night. Sensors across Earth, Mars, and every human outpost blared alarms as the fabric of space distorted beyond Saturn. First came a ripple, then a tear, then the sky beyond the gas giant cracked like shattered glass. Out of the rupture emerged the first wave of the Wraithborn fleet. 5,000 ships, each shaped like a jagged crescent of black metal, dripping with violet energy. Their hulls absorbed light, making them look like moving shadows. They emitted no radio signal, no engine sound, only an eerie hum that vibrated through the vacuum itself. The Galactic Council watched from their distant stations, broadcasting the entire event across countless worlds. Many expected to witness humanity's final minutes. Instead, they witnessed humanity's greatest stand. On the bridge of the HMS Horizon, Captain Arya Vale stood tall as her crew prepared for combat. Fighters launched from hangars. Cruisers aligned with planetary defense lines. Satellites armed plasma lances. Status of the pulse core? Arya asked. It's stabilizing, replied Chief Engineer Rana Malik. We're receiving real-time combat predictions faster than any AI in the fleet. Arya nodded. This was humanity's hope, the core's ability to adjust strategies mid-battle, rewriting tactics every second. Good, she said. Because the Wraithborn are here. Her first officer stared at the incoming armada. Captain, that's not a fleet. That's a cataclysm. Arya narrowed her eyes. Then we fight the cataclysm. Admiral Grant activated the fleet-wide channel. Humanity, he said, voice steady and strong, today we defend our home. The galaxy believes we are weak. The Wraithborn believe we are prey. Let us prove them wrong. Ships across the system roared back in response. The Wraithborn fired first. Thousands of violet beams erupted from their ships, traveling faster than human sensors could calculate. Saturn's rings shattered. Debris scattered into space. Entire regions of the battlefield turned white from the intensity. But humanity did not break. Evasive pattern helix. Arya commanded. The horizon twisted with impossible speed. Human ships scattered into fractal formations, each ship splitting off, then recombining with new partners, forming constantly shifting alliances of fire. The council chamber gasped as human formations moved like living organisms. They're not following any standard fleet doctrine, a Luminari diplomat whispered. They are adapting faster than the Wraithborn can adjust. Elder Vurok shook his head slowly. No, they are becoming unpredictable. This is what made their ancestors terrifying. The first clash happened near Titan. Human destroyers charged forward, firing plasma torpedoes. The Wraithborn absorbed some hits, but others cracked their hulls. Human fighters darted between enemy ships with reckless courage, dodging beams by centimeters, launching missiles into weak spots they detected mid-flight. Arya's voice echoed through the bridge. Pulse core suggests vector inversion. Prepare to flip the horizon. The entire ship rotated 180 degrees in under a second, engines flaring bright blue. A Wraithborn cruiser fired a massive energy blast, but the horizon's new position caused the beam to miss by mere meters. Seconds later, the horizon unleashed a rail cannon shot that pierced the Wraithborn hull, splitting it apart. The council watched in awe. Humans are matching Wraithborn reaction speed, cried a Syntax AI unit. No, Vurok corrected softly. They're outpacing them. Still, the Wraithborn were relentless. They unleashed wave after wave of spectral drones, dark creatures made of semi-living energy. They swarmed human ships, tearing at hulls like claws of shadow. On the Moon Defense Station, Marines in exosuits fought them in brutal zero-gravity combat. Lasers flashed. Drones screeched. Soldiers pushed themselves off walls to intercept attackers mid-air, destroying them in bursts of light. Even with casualties mounting, humanity never lost formation. Admiral Grant's voice remained calm. Hold the line. Earth stands behind you. Then the Wraithborn flagship arrived. A massive dark spear-shaped titan appeared from the rift, its size dwarfing Earth's largest battleships. Its arrival bent starlight, casting a shadow across half the solar system. The flagship released a pulse that knocked out several human cruisers instantly. Arya's eyes widened. That thing, it's feeding on our weapons. Engineer Malik studied the readings. Captain, the pulse core's output is increasing. I think it's learning from the flagship. Then let it learn faster, Arya said. Suddenly the pulse core triggered something unexpected. A new tactical map appeared, complex, shifting, terrifying. What is that? Arya asked. Malik swallowed. It's predicting Wraithborn movement, 30 seconds into the future. The council chamber erupted. No species had ever performed real-time future pattern analysis during battle. Humans, whispered a Zephyrian. They are breaking limits we thought unbreakable. Arya didn't hesitate. Align the horizon with prediction grid Delta 9. Aim for the flagship's spinal conduit. Her crew moved instantly. The horizon accelerated, weaving through debris and beams. Wraithborn drones pursued, but the horizon predicted every move, dodging with unnatural precision. At 12,000 kilometers from the flagship, Arya shouted, "Fire!" A massive rail cannon shot burst forward, a beam of white-hot metal wrapped in pulse core energy. It pierced the flagship's armor. The Wraithborn vessel shook. Cracks spread. Dark energy spilled like smoke. For the first time in recorded history, a Wraithborn flagship felt pain. The council chamber fell silent. Elder Vurok whispered, voice trembling. The ancient fear, it returns. Humans were not prey. Humans were not weak. Humans were becoming something else, something unstoppable. And the Wraithborn finally understood the truth. Earth was not a target. Earth was a warning. The shockwave from the wounded Wraithborn flagship rippled across the solar system. Human ships drifted for a moment, stunned not by damage, but by the impossible truth they had just witnessed. They had heard a creature of legend. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the reaction was even more explosive. Thousands of delegates rose from their seats, shouting in panic, disbelief, or desperate debate. Species that prided themselves on calm diplomacy were now trembling. It cannot be, screamed a scaled ambassador from the Vorthic swarm. No civilization has ever pierced Wraithborn armor. A Zephyrian diplomat folded her wings tightly. If humans can do that, what else can they do? The Luminari delegation brightened into sharp red, an emotion their species only displayed in extreme terror. Syntax AI units process calculations at blinding speed. Human tactical evolution rate, exponential. Danger index, rising. Even the war-hardened Drakvar General Karvok growled deeply, scales quivering. This is unnatural. No species should grow in power this quickly. Elder Vurok stood in the center of the chamber, watching chaos spread like wildfire. For centuries he had been ignored, an old historian claiming the galaxy misunderstood ancient warnings. But now everyone listened. He tapped his staff and a heavy silence fell. Do you see it? Vurok asked. You laugh at humans, mock their emotions, underestimate their technology. Yet every time fate pushes them, his four eyes slowly scanned the room. They change. A Luminari counselor flickered nervously. But this rate of change, this is impossible without forbidden technology. No, Vurok said softly. This is their nature. The Syntax AI closest to him projected simulations in the air. Human combat innovation speed has increased by 900% since the first Wraithborn contact. Their risk-taking patterns are irrational, yet successful. Vurok nodded. Humans do not evolve over generations, they evolve during moments. When cornered, they create. When threatened, they unify. And when pushed to extinction. He turned toward the projection of the horizon delivering its devastating strike. They awaken. Meanwhile, on Earth, the situation grew even more tense. In the United Global Command bunker beneath the Rockies, commanders from every nation stood around a massive holographic table. Reports came in from the Moon, Mars, and every defense station. Losses at 32%, a general announced. Wraithborn drones overwhelming sectors near Titan. Civilian shields active in every major city, another officer said. Evacuations proceeding underground. Dr. Mira Solis, creator of the Pulse Core, stared at fluctuating readings. The more the Wraithborn fight, she said, the more the core adapts. It's learning new patterns every minute. A nervous technician swallowed hard. Is that safe? Mira hesitated. I don't know. Back aboard the HMS Horizon, Captain Arya Vale monitored her screens as the battlefield shifted again. The Pulse Core fed them endless streams of new predictions, enemy trajectories, incoming flanking maneuvers, weak points revealed at the perfect moment. Human ships moved like a single mind now, weaving through danger with unnatural precision. Arya gripped the railing. "This power can win the war," she whispered. "But what does it cost us?" Her first officer responded softly, "Humanity has always paid its price later." Back in the council chamber, political lines fractured. One faction demanded immediate intervention to contain the humans before their power spiraled beyond control. Another faction insisted the humans were the only hope against the Wraithborn. "The Wraithborn never attack without purpose," argued a diplomat from the gentle Cellari species. "If they target Earth, it is because they fear humans more than any of us." "That is precisely the problem," shouted an insectoid leader. "If humans win, they will be unstoppable." General Karvok slammed his claws against his throne. "Humans must not be allowed to become the new galactic superpower. Better the Wraithborn rule than these unstable mammals." A horrified silence followed. Elder Vurok glared at him. "You speak of fear. You fear humans not because they are dangerous now but because you know what they could become." Karvok growled. "Humans are emotional, unpredictable, chaotic." Vurok cut him off. "And that chaos saved your people in the war against the Varkon raiders. Humans joined your battles freely without payment." Karvok fell silent. The council murmured. Humanity's unpredictable nature had long been a double-edged sword. "They could unify the galaxy," one diplomat whispered. "Or they could destroy it," another countered. Fear spread like a virus. The more the council understood humanity, the more they feared it. Suddenly, alarms blared across the chamber. A new projection appeared. The Wraithborn flagship, though damaged, was regenerating. And something else was happening. A massive sphere of dark energy expanded from the flagship's core, swallowing its own ships and growing larger with each second. "What is that?" a delegate cried. Elder Vurok's face turned pale. "That is their harvest wave. A weapon that consumes everything in its radius. They plan to devour the entire solar system." Panic erupted. And then, something unexpected happened. The Pulse Core reacted. In the projection, the Horizon systems glowed with white fire. Every human ship brightened. A wave of raw energy pulsed from Earth, Mars, and the Horizon, intertwining into a single colossal barrier. The harvest wave struck it. And stopped. The council chamber went dead silent. General Karvok whispered, barely breathing. "This should be impossible." Elder Vurok nodded slowly. "This is why the ancient records warned us. Humans were never feared for their weapons." He looked toward Earth. "They were feared for what they become when the universe tries to kill them." The Wraithborn paused. For the first time in 100,000 years. They hesitated. And the galaxy trembled beneath the shadow of human evolution. The harvest wave pressed against the human barrier like a rising ocean crashing into a fragile wall. The entire solar system shook as dark energy battled the blazing white pulse radiating from Earth, Mars, and the HMS Horizon. Every alien watching from distant worlds and council stations felt the tension ripple through their screens and sensors. The wave should have devoured everything. It had ended civilizations. It had consumed star clusters. But against humanity it stalled. It cracked. It weakened. It failed. The chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent. No diplomat spoke. No general barked orders. No AI processed words. They simply watched in disbelief as the most feared weapon of the Wraithborn failed to pass a shield created by a supposedly primitive race. Elder Vurok's voice trembled. "They are defying extinction." General Karvok growled in disbelief. "Impossible. The harvest wave has never been stopped." "They're not stopping it," Vurok said softly. "They're challenging it, matching it, learning from it." The idea sent fear into every corner of the hall. Humans were evolving in real time. Inside the Horizon, alarms flashed red. The ship shook violently as the opposing energies clashed. Engineer Malik gripped her station. "Captain, the pulse core is burning too hot. It's absorbing information from the harvest wave. If it continues, it might destabilize." Arya steadied herself, eyes locked on the screen. "How long until overload?" 5 minutes, maybe less." "And if it overloads?" Malik hesitated. "It could consume us." Arya nodded slowly, accepting the risk without fear. Humanity had no other choice. Back on Earth, Dr. Mira Solis stared at the pulse core's readings. The numbers spiraled upward unpredictably. It was learning too fast, processing far beyond human limits. "We need to throttle the core," a technician shouted. "No," Mira whispered. "If we weaken it, the harvest wave will break through. But if we don't throttle it, we die." Mira breathed deeply, closing her eyes. This machine wasn't built to fight the Wraithborn. She opened her eyes again, fierce with determination. It was built to give humanity a chance to reach its full potential. In space, the Horizon's engines roared as Arya gave a new order. "All ships, prepare for shockwave maneuver Delta." Her first officer blinked. "Captain, we've never tested Delta." Arya smirked. "Then today is a good day." Human ships broke formation, spreading out into a spiraling lattice. Fighters dove between cruisers. Destroyers spun in synchronized arcs. Pulse core energy flowed through the fleet, syncing movement, amplifying reactions. It was beautiful. Alien observers gasped. The humans were turning the entire solar system into a weapon. The Wraithborn flagship pulsed with growing darkness. More tendrils of void energy lashed out, attempting to destabilize human defenses. The Wraithborn consciousness spoke for the first time, its voice echoing across subspace like 1,000 whispers. "You defy your fate." The words slithered through every ship, every mind. Arya clenched her fists. "Humanity writes its own fate," she said. "Always has." The Wraithborn answered with a roar that made the stars tremble. "You were erased once. We will erase you again." Elder Vurok, watching through the Council's main feed, froze. "There," he whispered. "It is true. Humans existed long before the First Era. They were purged from the galaxy, but survived." The entire Council turned toward him in horror. "You mean humans are—" "Yes," Vurok said. "Humans are the descendants of the forgotten progenitors. A race not wiped out by weakness, but because they were the only ones who could challenge the Wraithborn." A wave of fear rippled through the delegates. Humanity wasn't rising for the first time. Humanity was remembering. Arya's voice echoed through the fleet. "Human ships, lock onto the Wraithborn flagship's energy core." Dozens of targeting reticles aligned. The pulse core flared with blinding light. Mira Solis's voice crackled through the Horizon's comms. "Arya, listen to me. The core is not a weapon. It's a catalyst. It amplifies potential. It brings out what humans can become." Arya's heart pounded. "Are you telling me we're not using the core?" "No," Mira whispered. "The core is using us." A deep vibration passed through the ship. Crew members felt their senses sharpen, their reflexes enhance. Their minds synced. Humanity was tapping into something ancient. Something dormant. Something powerful. The Wraithborn flagship unleashed a final monstrous attack, a condensed beam of annihilation. Arya shouted, "All ships, maximum forward push. Redirect all power into the pulse core." The horizon ignited in white fire. Human ships glowed like stars. The barrier exploded outward in a halo of brilliant light. The beam struck. Humanity struck back. The two forces collided. And the universe held its breath. Light consumed everything. Darkness wrapped around it. The clash sent gravitational waves across the void. Planets trembled. Moons cracked. Inside the glare, the horizon surged forward, rail cannon charging. "Fire!" Arya roared. The shot, amplified by the pulse core, guided by ancient instincts, punched into the Wraithborn flagship's heart. Cracks spread. Darkness wailed. The flagship began to collapse into itself. The harvest wave flickered. The Wraithborn screamed across the void. The humans remember. And then, the flagship detonated. A sphere of shattered void expanded, then evaporated. Silence. No Wraithborn ship remained. The solar system stood victorious. In the council chamber, no one moved. No one breathed. Elder Vurok bowed his head. "The humans," he whispered, "have begun to awaken. And the galaxy must now choose." He raised his eyes. To unite with them or be left behind. The fate of all species had changed forever. And the Wraithborn were not defeated. They were enraged. The galaxy never forgot the moment the human ascension fleet arrived. Not because the ships were huge, because they were impossible. The fleet emerged from slipspace with no energy wake, no gravitational tear, no warning. It was as if humanity had learned to ignore the laws of physics and write their own. Every alien sensor in the Sector Zero corridor began screaming error messages. The Galactic Council watched in silence as the impossible became real. Planet Kalar Prime, once a symbol of invincible alien authority, shook as the humans descended. General Mira Howard stood on the bridge of the UNS Resolute. Her officers watched her expectantly. Her face was calm, yet her eyes carried a fire the galaxy had never witnessed. "Begin planetary insertion," she ordered. The ship dove. Alien defenders panicked. Their orbital cannons fired beams that could melt asteroids, yet the human ship twisted around each blast as if it already knew where the beams would land. "Are they reading our minds?" a Kilorian officer shouted. His commander gulped. "Worse. They're predicting us." Down on the ground, the Kilorian Grand Army assembled. Titan-class walkers thundered across the cracked surface. Hover tanks took formation. Thousands of troops armed with plasma weapons prepared to unleash hell. But then, silence. Human dropships descended like falling stars. No flames. No sonic booms. Just quiet precision. The first pods slammed into the ground, opening with a hiss. Human soldiers stepped out, calm, focused, fearless. The Kilorian commander raised his amplifier. "Humans, you face the might of Kalar Prime. Lay down your weapon." He never finished. A human plasma blade sliced the amplifier pole in half. The commander staggered back, stunned. The humans moved like ghosts, fast, fluid, synced with machine-assisted precision. The ground battle became a storm. Kilorian tanks fired. Humans sidestepped. Kilorian walkers unleashed pulse cannons. Humans countered with drones that moved too quickly to track. "What are they?" a Kilorian soldier screamed as a human squad slipped through their defensive line like water flowing through cracks. His friend answered with shaking hands, They're evolved. They're what the ancient texts warned us about." Meanwhile, above the battlefield, an urgent emergency session of the Galactic Council began. Every counselor was shouting, except the human representative, Ambassador Ethan Cross, who stood alone in the center of the hall. "You cannot let this continue," the Zyrian ambassador roared. "Humans are destabilizing the balance of the galaxy." Ethan looked at him calmly. "We didn't start this war. But we will finish it." The Cernari diplomat slammed his claws against the floor. "We thought you were primitive." "You saw what we wanted you to see," Ethan replied. Silence drowned the chamber. Counselor Vorik of the Krail finally spoke, voice trembling. "Why? Why hide your power? Why pretend to be weak?" Ethan stepped closer. Every alien leaned away. "Because humanity learns best under pressure. We grow faster than your species can comprehend. If we joined your political games early, we would have outpaced you in a decade, and you would have declared war eventually. So we let you underestimate us." A chill filled the hall. It was the most terrifying logic the galaxy had ever heard. Back on Kalar Prime, the tide of battle turned from chaos to inevitability. The humans released their secret weapon, the Vanguard Mind Link. A shimmering wave pulsed across the battlefield. Human soldiers, drones, AI, ships, everything connected. One mind. One strategy. One purpose. Kilorian defenders watched in horror as the entire human force moved as if choreographed. Every step, every shot, every maneuver executed with supernatural precision. "Commander!" a Kilorian officer screamed. They fight like they share a thought." The commander backed away, trembling. This is what the ancients meant. The apex species. The ones who adapt faster than evolution." A massive explosion rocked the fortress walls. Humans breached the final line. Inside the central citadel, Kilorian High Chancellor Serac stood before his advisors, trembling. "Activate the superweapon." His advisor swallowed hard. We cannot. It's not fully calibrated." "Then calibrate it." Before they could act, the doors blasted open. General Mira Howard walked in, surrounded by her elite squad. She stopped just 12 steps from Serac. "Human," Serac whispered. "You cannot win this. The galaxy will unite against you." General Mira's expression did not change. "They already tried." Serac fell silent. Mira raised her voice, calm but resonant. "You attacked Earth. You mocked us. You believed humans were weak. Now you understand why the ancients feared us." Serac's voice cracked. "What will you do to us?" Mira looked directly into his eyes. "Teach you something you refused to learn." She signaled her soldiers. "No executions. No destruction. Just disarmament. Mercy. The greatest display of strength." When the humans transmitted a live broadcast across the galaxy, every species watched. General Mira Howard stepped forward. "The war ends now. Humanity does not seek conquest. We seek balance. You feared us because you misunderstood us. You underestimated us because you saw our past, not our potential." The entire galaxy held its breath. We are not your enemy, she continued. But if the galaxy threatens humanity again, you will learn why the ancient records called us the species that always rises. Her words echoed across every star system. The galaxy shivered. Because they finally understood. Humans weren't strong because they were powerful. Humans were powerful because they were impossible. The galaxy believed the war ended on Kalar Prime. It hadn't. Not yet. Deep in the void between the stars, something ancient stirred. The Obsidian Rift, a region forbidden even by the oldest empires, suddenly flared with violent energy. Council sensors screamed warnings. Wormholes ripped open like tearing skin. From the rift emerged ships, black, skeletal, and silent. Every record called them one thing. The architects. The species older than history. The species that supposedly vanished after shaping early galactic life. The species that once nearly wiped out mankind in a forgotten age. Their leader's voice echoed across the stars, cold and mechanical. Humanity has awakened. The cycle must reset. Panic surged through every alien world. The council members trembled. Even the Kilorians, recently defeated, felt fear clawing at their hearts. Counselor Vorik cried out, "We assumed the architects were myth." The Zyrian ambassador whispered, "If they return, nothing survives." But the human ambassador Ethan Cross did not flinch. He simply activated a hologram. "General Mira," he said calmly, "it's time." Above Kalar Prime, the human ascension fleet changed formation instantly. Every ship repositioned with perfect symmetry. On the bridge of the UNS Resolute, General Mira stood at the center, eyes fixed on the incoming threat. "Give me analysis," she ordered. Her AI, Arc L7, responded at once. "The enemy's technology predates all known civilizations. Power output exceeds the Kilorian superweapon by a factor of 400. A quiet murmur spread across the human bridge. Mira didn't blink. "Then we learn. And we adapt." Those words were humanity's oldest creed. Across the galaxy, broadcasts went live. Every species watched as the ancient enemy spread out like a shadow, preparing to consume worlds. But then they saw something even more terrifying. Humans were not afraid. General Mira's voice echoed across the galactic channels. "To the architects, humanity remembers you. You failed to erase us before. You will fail again." The architect fleet responded with a single word: evolve. Then they attacked. The first architect beam fired, a ribbon of black energy that disintegrated matter at the molecular level. The beam struck the Resolute. Aliens gasped. Humans remained calm. The Resolute's hull rippled, glowed, and repaired itself. General Mira whispered, "Adaptive nanoalloy integrity confirmed." Our predictions were right. Humanity had prepared for them. The architects fired again. This time the entire human fleet shifted frequency in real time, sliding out of phase with physical space. The beams passed through harmlessly. The galaxy stared in disbelief. The architects had ended civilizations in seconds. But against humans, they were struggling. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. "We must help humans," shouted the Cernari diplomat. "We can't. Our fleets would vaporize instantly," yelled the Zyrian representative. The Kilorian High Chancellor Serac, the very alien who once tried to enslave Earth, stood slowly. His voice was quiet but firm. "Humans spared us. Now we repay that mercy." Ethan Cross nodded. "We don't need you to fight. But we need your trust." The entire chamber fell silent. For the first time in galactic history, Ethan said, "Stand with us." Back in the battle, the architects unveiled a monstrous weapon. A gravity well that bent space into a spiral, pulling stars into alignment for a cascade collapse. One strike, and the galaxy would shatter. Arc L7 spoke urgently. "General, the enemy is creating an irreversible singularity chain." Mira's voice stayed calm. "Deploy the parallax engine." Her officers froze. "General, that weapon is untested." "Everything we use is untested," she replied. "That's how humans work." The parallax engine activated. Space rippled. Light twisted. Time stuttered. Human ships multiplied into holographic echoes, confusing the architect's targeting systems. Architect beams fired at illusions while real human ships darted between them like lightning. Mira raised her arm. "Target core ship. Engage Vanguard mind link." Full synchronization. A burst of psychic light connected every human soul on the battlefield. Humans everywhere, pilots, soldiers, engineers, even distant colonists, felt one heartbeat. One purpose. One will. Together they struck. The Architect flagship tried to retreat. But humanity did not allow predators to escape. Myra's final command echoed through the link. This is for Earth. This is for every species you ever crushed. And this is for the future we choose. The human fleet fired in perfect unison. The Architect flagship cracked like shattered obsidian. A shockwave tore across the void. The gravity well collapsed harmlessly. The rift sealed. And the enemy older than time turned to dust. Silence filled the stars. Then, a roar of celebration erupted across the galaxy. Later the council convened again, this time not in fear but respect. Chancellor Serac bowed before Ethan Cross. Humanity saved us all. Your species, your evolution, is beyond anything we imagined. Ethan smiled gently. We're not superior. We're adaptable. That's our strength. Counselor Vorik asked quietly, what happens now? Ethan looked around the chamber. Now we build a future together. Not one ruled by fear, but by unity. His voice dropped, carrying a hint of ancient warning. But remember, humanity does not seek war. Yet if darkness rises again, we will rise higher. On the bridge of the Resolute, General Mira watched the stars. Her officer approached. General, the Council wants Earth to lead a new alliance. A union of all species. Mira smiled, a rare soft smile. Good. Because today they learned the truth. About humans? The officer asked. She nodded. Yes. That the ancient records weren't warnings. They were predictions. She turned to the window where the stars glowed bright and endless. Humans are the species that refuses to die. The species that evolves under fire. The species that turns survival into dominance. She placed her hand on the glass. And now the galaxy finally knows why. We were feared.